Hey all, Pixel here, Improbable Garage. Working on the 56 Olds in particular. We're putting a bumper on the back of it. So the stock rear bumper on this has been gone for a while. I took it off because I knew I didn't want it. I actually sold it to somebody. I didn't like it because it's a little too bulky. I'll put a picture up of what they look like. It's not a bad design, it's just a little too sort of heavy for me. So what I picked up instead is a 1956 Pontiac rear bumper, which I'll put up a picture of that on the car. It's a very similar design, but it's a much sort of lighter and more delicate, and also I think just a cleaner version of the same general concept. I lucked into years ago, because again, we're getting back to this project after it's been sitting for far too long, but I was looking for one of these for a while, and then I saw somebody who was selling one that came with an absurd amount of extra parts. And I noticed among the parts there was a couple of rear bumpers. So I got a good friend of mine who lived near there to get in touch with the guy, and ended up going over there, and I told him, like, hey, buy the best one he'll sell you. You know, and if they're really cheap, maybe buy more than one. And apparently, I don't remember any of the pricing now, but apparently it was one of those of like, the guy wanted X for one and not much more than X for just take all of it. So being the smart car hoarder like I am, he just took all of it. So what I ended up with was 3 left, right, center assemblies, 1 full set of bumper brackets, and 1 of these little like cover things that goes under that center section. I don't have the actual license plate mount itself, but I'm not worried about that. That's an easy thing to fabricate or acquire a license plate mount. The bumpers are all wildly different quality. You can see this and that center are both probably the roughest set. There's another set that's got a lot of pockmarking, and then there's another set, which this is from, which look to be rust free, but have been painted, so I have no idea what the actual condition of the chrome is underneath. My friend cleaned, it's none of these, but my friend cleaned one of them up and got it to polish a section of it really good. So I'm really hopeful that when I take the paint off of these, they will be presentable enough to look good. And if not, I have enough various pieces that I can experiment with things. This is actually the painted center section. And I don't know how clear it shows, but there's no like pitting the way, like if you look at this, it's all got pitting and whatnot. The reason I have what I have here is that's got the bumper bracket still attached. So I needed to pull that one down. I don't know if I'm going to have to lengthen or shorten the center, so I grabbed the nastiest one, so if I do have to do that, I can experiment on the worst one. And then that was just the first of those that I grabbed. The only reason I have not fitted these to the car at all, because this long bracket here, I don't know how it fits on the Pontiac. It might just tuck under the quarter in the Pontiac, but on the Oldsmobile, the quarter comes down far enough that the side bracket goes through that hole. Judging by the fact it's still attached on this, I'm guessing that's not the case in the Pontiac. But what I have to do is get that bracket off of there so that I can try fitting this up. And I'm either going to need to run it through that hole in the side to do that, or I'm going to need to just cut it and then maybe re-weld it once I know how all the things are going to go together. I'd like to have the bracket come through and catch the side of the bumper so the bumper doesn't wobble, if that doesn't require me cutting up the body. If it's going to be a really bad fit to where this opening already is, what I will do is close up that opening on the quarter and either make a new one, or more likely just have the bumper not have the, any side bracket, and I will just put a false bolt in that hole that doesn't go to anything. But that's all just theory right now, because I need to get it to fit. I'm going to start with the one that's already apart and just do some very quick eyeballing of stuff, because who knows, I might get stupidly lucky and the bumper holes are on the frame are in a really close place or something. So yeah, let's get to it. All right, not much progress, but we're learning. First off, yeah, that side does not fit through that hole. There may be a way to make it work. We haven't even gotten that far. It occurred to me two things. One, I shouldn't be using my nice bumper end for all this fit up, so I'm going to climb back up there and get the really bad one of these. Secondly, I realized, hey, there's no point in fitting an end. Well, I know where everything else goes. So I tried to bolt it together. Turns out the bolts that retain this are 7/16 by something, I think 13. Which is, of course, not a normal size. Just like when I did the front, and I needed those weird bolt sizes. These are also a weird bolt size. So I gotta go do a trip to see if somebody carries. Based on the way it's built, I don't think I can easily swap something else in there, because I think they're all part of a bracket that's sort of welded into the inside of the bumper before it's chromed. So, whatever. But I need to go do that before I can put the bumper together, before I can do the test fitting. Something else occurred to me, unfortunately, which is these are the bolts for that. Bolt hole here, there's a bolt hole here, there's a bolt hole here. That one has it as well. I believe those were they're either an overrider or they're another set of brackets or something. But whatever it is, I don't have whatever goes in those holes. So, more frustration, but I mean, you can see a little bit the shape that I'm going to be working with. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up, I'm going to grab the third one just so I have it while I'm thinking about it. I'm going to go out bolt hunting, I'm going to go get lunch, and then I will come back to this project. Alright, I'm back, and I have hardware in my pocket. We're going to get through this. I also pulled down the less good bumper piece so I can do this, so that I can do this without fear of damaging the nice parts. Interestingly, Home Depot had none of the right thread pitch and everything. They had 7/16, but they only had fine thread, and they only had them in grade 8s. Lowe's, rather strangely, had the nuts and the washers in just the loose bins in the right 7/16 14, but only had the bolts as grade 5s. So, a little expensive, but not terrible. Way cheaper than the front. Oh my god. So yeah. There is, on this piece, there is a stud that sticks out, and then there's where a bolt goes in here. And then that goes into these two holes here. So, yeah, I'm just going to bolt this together. I don't know how that piece is retained. I don't know if it's actually attached to this or if it was attached to the car. I'm not going to worry about that piece at all for right now. That's going to be an easy thing once we've got this mounted to figure that part out. I think I'm either going to get the jack in here, I think, after, or I'm going to get some cribbing to, like, hold the bumper in place. I'm not quite sure what yet. Anyway, let's get to it. So, this bracket I don't have on the other side. So in order to get this to tighten down enough on this side, I just shoved a bunch of washers under it. Way more than I needed, but I got it to lock down. So these are all connected together. And then the first fit up showed me these just exactly as they were was not going to work. So I need to be able to approach it slightly different direction. It's not quite right. That side is up more than that side. It's close enough. Everything I build, I'm going to slot holes and stuff so that I can get stuff adjusted just right. I know you can't see everything. It's as far back as I can get right there. But I can. Now, so right now the limiting factor is that the inside here, let's say on this side, is hitting this flange So slight recess area, I'll just cut that whole recessed area out. That'll get it back a little bit more. What I want is at the ends, and this side's close and that side's not even remotely close, which means the whole bumper needs tweaking. But where the body comes down here and then there's a point where it just drops off at a 90°, I want to get this over top of that. So I want the bumper tucked up pretty tight. So I drilled a hole, I marked the slot, drilled a hole in the middle of it to give me a little bit of left-right adjustment. Put a bolt through, put a nut on it, and then put this on with another bolt, another nut. And then over on this side, because there isn't currently anything, I've got a bolt and a nut going through, and then it's just kind of roughly zip tied in place very badly and is falling down. There we go, that's better. So I just tried that. And it's too far out, of course. If I put this on here, if I bottom it out, actually it's not too bad. Maybe it was just that had fallen down. But what I need to do now is take the other bracket for the other side, but this bolt is now too short. So what I think I'm going to do is take this out, take that other nut off of it, bolt this directly into the body at flat, and then that'll give me the length to bolt the other bracket on, and then I can space things out here, figure out what spacing it needs, and then make a better spacer to go in here. Unfortunately, there is almost no access to the inside of the frame right there. Even though it's two C channels that come together, there's this and some other things that are in the way that just make it absolutely miserable to try and get in there. And I'm having to use the 7/16 bolts that I bought because it turns out that that's the size of the carriage bolts that were here, which means the carriage bolts I have that I bought a box of when I did the van, because it was literally cheaper to buy 25 than it was to buy the like 8 or something that I needed, don't fit properly and will just rip the holes to hell. So for now I'm just using these, and then once I get to final assembly, as in this all fits properly for once. Ooh, hey, am I really going to get that lucky with one drilled hole? I think I might. Holy crap. That is damn close. If this bracket wasn't falling down on this side, I think I'd be golden. It's a little bit that way, but I have adjustment. Wow, really? So what I'm going to do for final assembly is I'm going to take these two brackets and I'm going to tack weld them together so I can cut them apart if I need to. But so that they're now one U-shaped bracket instead of two separate ones. And then I can drill the hole for the second one. Oh no, I can't. The second one hangs off the side of the body. That's where my problem's going to lie. So The second slot over here is basically right on the corner, like the center of it is the corner of where the two meet. So I can't put a bolt in there usefully. If I shifted this all over, I could. Maybe that's going to be fine, because maybe it needs to move over that much. But it'll be right in the... Actually, no, it won't even work, because it'll be right in the corner, not enough room for a head and the bolt. I also have this part over here where there's a bolt hole that right now got that janky setup. What I can do there is make a bracket off of that. Like, where's the end of... This is the... I'm actually using the wrong side, but I think they're flat, so it's not going to make a difference. This is what I've got over here, and the end of the frame rail is here. So what I can do is weld something down here that basically duplicates this idea. You know, just extend the bracket down, and then drill a hole and mount a bolt there to mount that end. Right now, that end is actually spaced off pretty far, so I might even actually be able to do that with a nut and bolt something to it that goes down. Well, whatever. I may have to step it in because this is currently hitting the body, and I don't want to go in anymore because it's actually more in here than it is here. In a real world, best case real world, this probably should go in that way, and I can make that change later. I can always take that bracket, slice it, push it in, overlap it, weld it. But that's final tweaky stuff. I got to get the bumper to hang on the car at all first. So this side, good enough to start fitting that side. All right, well, I figured out part of my problem with getting the whole bumper to fit. I was suspecting, because I was looking at that centerpiece, and it looks like it's a little tweaked. So I was like, okay, well, maybe it is. Well, I come over here with the bumper brackets, and this is the left bracket, which I hadn't been using. I've been using, oh, sorry, this is the right bracket. This is the left bracket. And if you look, they don't line up here. You know, when I've got them matched here, they don't line up here. And if you come over to this side, they don't line up. And you can see where I cut it, where this was all bent way over. So I think the right side of the car this was off of got hit. And it tweaked this and it tweaked the center, but it didn't seem to have damaged the actual bumper end. Now these two, the inner or the other ones, oh yeah, see these are wildly different. Okay, now I have a new problem. This is the one that I've been using. Yeah, this one's been completely mashed. Look at that. Doesn't even vaguely resemble that one. So what that means, because this is the one that goes over there, is the right side of that bumper got pushed in real hard, which it bent that center section to account for that, and then bent this bracket, and this bracket that was out on the end, it absolutely mangled. So what I'm going to have to do, fortunately I do have this one, and this is the one I was already measuring off of to put that other one on. So this is wrong, so that's going to mess with me a little bit. But that one is right. This one is, I'm going to have to go in and massively straighten this to get it to line up. And then I'm going to have to go in and do some tweaking on this one to get it to line up. I'm really glad I figured that out now instead of... I feel a little dumb for not having checked that before, but it just didn't occur to me. So I'm going to need to get a different center section that isn't bent, and I'm going to have to straighten these, and then we'll get back to the whole thing. All right, there we go. Much better. The other one is almost perfect. This alignment on this end is very slightly off still, but I think it's within the, like, a different amount of washers and tighten it down level of close. This one's still not great just because this one was so mangled, but I don't think I'm going to do much better than that. You can see it's very, if I have these two, if I have the slots aligned, those are a little off because the bends are different, so it's stretched. So the metal's a different length, basically, since I have sharper bends and stuff, but basically this bend got tightened up. There's another bend here-ish that got removed, and then another one that got straightened out as well, but not quite as much. And then I'd actually over straightened this bend, so I had to bring it back out a little the other way. But now they at least resemble each other, so it's going to be a whole other thing when I have to, when I do that side bolt. I don't know how I'm going to manage that, but now I can actually fit it correctly. Unfortunately, all of these are too hot to, well, half of these are too hot to touch. So we're going to take a little break. I'm going to go get a different center section out of the up theirs, and then I'll come at this again. So it turns out a lot of that bumper was bent. Once you start looking at it, it's actually quite a sharp crunch there too. So this whole bumper that I've been trying to fit, not the side that I was fitting, but the other side in the center that couldn't get to line up with it, are both in bad shape. So this is bumper number 2. This one has rust. In addition to the pitting, you can see one of these there. This is actually rotted out in here from crap falling down here and collecting. And they had to cut at least one bumper bolt off over there. This bumper, I could like this would be presentable enough to run. I'd be a little sad. Like if I still had the original front bumper that I haven't just changed, this would match it pretty good in terms of condition. But I'm really hoping that the painted bumper is nicer underneath. But if I had to run this one, I could run it. I could probably even do some cleaning and make it look a little bit more presentable. So I'm going to be real careful with this bumper in a way I wasn't going to with the other one. But I've already fitted this up, and it fits way better than that one ever did. But I definitely am going to have to chop out a bit over here and over here to allow it to sit where I want it to. Because now that the bumper is straight, this is very much in the way. But it looks like this is where the end of the point of the bumper should be. And then this is the point where the bumper hits. Same over here. So in theory, I just need to take about an inch around here out, just to let the bumper suck inwards there. This in the center will probably need some tweaking too, because it'll be visible. But I'll figure that out when I'm doing this panel, because what will probably happen, I don't know for sure, because I don't even know how this thing attaches, but what'll probably happen is that, like, I will cut this off, and then this will go below it in some way, but, or possibly I may even be able to do this over it. I don't know. We're figuring that out later. So I think these are cool enough. Let's see if it hurts. It's uncomfortable but not painful. So we can grab all these, get back to work over there. So we're going to grab all of these, we're going to get back to work over there. So I've trimmed these back, give myself plenty of room, used my receipt and my dirty finger to make a template over this side, so I could flip it around and punch another hole over on that side. So in theory, I should now be able to bolt the brackets on and be close enough to start seeing if I can get the bumper on. And then when that doesn't work at all, I'll figure something new out. But that should get me one bolt on each side, which will get me close enough to start making everything actually fit. All right, that is basically what it needs to be. It's only held in by one bolt to the body on either side. It's attached to the brackets by a random combination of just literally whatever, tightened to varying degrees. But it's enough that it is on there and at like about the right height and whatnot. This is going to need a lot more work because it's very tenuous right now. And if I tried to pull this apart, paint it, and put it back on again, I would scratch the car all to hell. So a bunch more work is needed on the brackets and whatnot. I may even end up having to fabricate them all from scratch, but now I know it'll go on the car. A couple of things. This is a problem. Obviously, that's going to need to get closed up. The bumper bolt hole, I'm not quite sure where it is relative to that, and this may also need to be tweaked upward somewhat. But either way, this is going to need to be filled in at least an inch or two down. This here is a bit of an issue. I don't like that. I'm going to have to make a filler panel to kind of fill that there. And then the center here, first off, the bumper's really, it's up against it on this side and it's really tight on this side. And I suspect the final tweaking will have it really close like that. That panel does not just fit in here. I was looking at it some more, and it's clear that it steps back in this space and then bolts to, you know, something like this on the Pontiac, but obviously further back. So this whole center section is going to have to get some kind of rework. I don't know what. I might use this. I might use something else. I don't know. But yeah, one of the things is the Oldsmobile has a bit of a bow there that I don't know if the Pontiac has or not. But the angles are a little different on both sides. This side, it's out a little bit more than on that side, but not by much. And I think that's just brackets not quite being the same shape. And obviously the same issue that you over there. This line here is better on this side. And if you come over on this side, it sticks out more, which tells me that end, that end might be too far in, or this may be too far out and pushing the whole thing out. I'm not entirely sure. But overall, it does fit. It does tell me that even if I still have a bunch more work to do, it fits, basically. And it is exactly the look I wanted. It's not as bulky as the factory bumper was, but it still flows nicely around where the body comes out here. I love that the main part goes in and then there's this overrider here. If I had access to chrome shops the way that they used to back in the 50s, I might even have been tempted to just eliminate the overrider entirely and just have the two bumper ends and something in the middle, maybe even like a recess with the plate. But in the modern day, chrome is stupidly expensive. So welding up a bunch of holes in something is not something I want to do real lightly. But that's also something that I could, because it's all kind of visible, I'm going to have to build that center section anyway. So if I decide down the line I want to remove the overrider, that's also a possibility that doesn't require any additional body work. It just requires changing the bumpers. Yeah, so, yeah. It also just looks so much more finished with a bumper on it again. So this is going to be it for now. Part 2 is going to be me making it fit better. That might be right after I get the new hardware, because I do need 7/16 carriage bolts and a couple of other things before I can go any further. Or it might be way down the line when I've got all the other work on the car done. I have no idea, but I'm really happy with that change. That is a thing I've wanted this car to have, and now it has it, and it makes me really happy. So that's going to be it for now. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will talk to you later. Bye.